It is my honor to introduce one of the premier researchers in the medical field today, Dr. Anthony Fauci, Director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at the National Institutes of Health. Over the last 40 years, Dr. Fauci has devoted his career to research on infectious diseases. Dr. Fauci earned his AB from the College of Holy Cross in 1962 and his MD from Cornell University Medical College in 1966. In 1968, Dr. Fauci arrived at NIH as a clinical associate at the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. In 1980, he was appointed chief of the Laboratory of Immunoregulation, a position he still holds. Dr. Fauci assumed the position of director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in 1984. Dr. Fauci was one of the earliest researchers to conduct work related to the AIDS virus and has made seminal contributions to the understanding of how the virus destroys the body's defenses. He has been instrumental in developing strategies for highly successful therapy for patients with this serious disease, as well as for a vaccine to prevent HIV infection. In addition to his work on the AIDS virus and HIV infection, Dr. Fauci has been instrumental in developing effective therapies for formerly fatal inflammatory and immune-mediated diseases. Today, one can often find him on news outlets discussing how we as a community can begin to prepare and protect ourselves for possible epidemic outbreaks of emerging infections such as the avian flu. The important contributions he has made to global health are revered throughout the world. He is a member of several professional societies, including the National Academy of Sciences, the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and the American Philosophical Society. He has served as an author, co-author, or editor of more than 1,000 scientific publications and is the recipient of numerous prestigious awards, including 32 honorary doctorate degrees from universities in the United States and abroad. Earlier this week, President Bush announced that Dr. Fauci was one of only 8 individuals to receive the National Medal of Science this year, the nation's highest scientific honor. Dr. Fauci was born in Brooklyn, New York, and resides in Washington, D.C., with his wife, Christine Grady, and their 3 NCS daughters, Jenny, class of 2004, Allison, class of 2010, and Megan, a proud member of this year's graduating class. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Anthony Fauci.
Thank you very much, Ms. Flesher. Bishop Chain, Ms. Jameson, trustees, members of the faculty, family, friends, and you, the young women of the NCS graduating class of 2007. It is a personal pleasure and an honor for me to be here with you today to deliver this commencement address. Your excitement and happiness electrifies this magnificent cathedral in which we all have spent so many meaningful and memorable hours over the years. Indeed, you should be filled with pride and joy, for all of you have worked hard, very hard, to get to this pivotal point in your lives. Now, I have been asked several times by NCS parents and friends over the past several weeks, what is it like to prepare a commencement address for your daughter's high school graduation? Let me put it into some perspective. I have had the privilege of delivering a number of commencement addresses to undergraduate and graduate colleges over the years, and usually suggestions from the president or the provost of the university includes such benign comments as, "Dr. Fauci, please speak about the experiences in your own career and your life and be motivational to the graduates." In contrast, I must say that approaching this NCS address has been a most unusual experience for me, for it has led to some very interesting exchanges that I have had with various members of the NCS community, mostly in the form of suggestions, if not instructions. The most direct, simple, and benign of which was from Ms. Jameson. She said in her letter to me, "Tony, say whatever you want, but you have only 12 minutes. Not to worry, Kathy, I have got you covered on that. Not so easy from my own children and certain of their NCS classmates. A group of Megan's friends were over the house a few weeks ago and volunteered some suggestions. I got a good taste of the fierce independence and candid honesty that Mara Perman spoke of yesterday at Flag Day as being characteristic of the wild things of the class of 2007. They said, "Do not talk about yourself. Do not sound too motivational. Do not place any undue burdens on us. And above all, do not embarrass Megan." My somewhat concerned daughter, Allie, beseeched me, "Dad, please do not be silly like you are with us most of the time." Megan, in her usual quiet and dignified manner, refrained from comment so as not to offend me. The pressure was on. Even our gentle dog, Bubba, who had been greeting me with tail wagging for 13 years, started barking at me when I returned home from work in the evening. My rising senior college student daughter, Jenny, returned home from Cambridge just a few days ago and said, "Dad, I love you, but are you sure you do not want to run the speech by me first before you deliver it?" Finally, my lovely wife, Christine, pitched in. "Remember, Tony, you are a guy and they are girls." Now, I hope you can appreciate the respectful irreverence in which I am held in my own home. Thus, I stand before you, a humbled father, totally outnumbered and outflanked in an NCS household. And so, I decided to return to basics and consider my personal experience in this regard and to reflect back to my own graduation from high school and the message that I might have taken away from that commencement address. Having said that, I must confess that I cannot remember a single word of what the commencement speaker said, or even who he or she was. And so, seriously, ladies, 20 or more years from now, you almost certainly will not remember the content of what I tell you here today. However, you will not have to remember precisely what I say, since my thoughts and words will hopefully reflect some of what you will experience, and that you will surely remember because it will be part of your lives. Let me share some thoughts with you. I want to briefly discuss 4 issues. 1, your experience here at NCS and its future influence on you. 2, the concept of social responsibility. 3, leadership. And 4, the joy of life. And I promise you that I'm going to do all of that in the next 10 minutes. First concept, what you've experienced and its impact on your future. It is somewhat paradoxical that during the time that we are living through important experiences in our lives, we rarely appreciate fully their ultimate impact on us. It is very similar to the broader concept of history. People who live through historical events rarely realize the significance of the event while they are experiencing it. It is only afterwards, when society puts the event into perspective, that its full impact is appreciated. Excuse me. For you, although you may not have been considering it in this context, what you have experienced over the past several years is indeed historic from your personal standpoint, since its impact on your lives will be profound. You all came here to an extraordinary educational institution. You have fundamental talents, caring parents and family who have loved and nurtured you, and a faculty very capable and committed to bringing out the best in you. I have carefully watched firsthand this experiment in human development unfold for this particular class over the past 4 to 8+ years. And as a scientist, and I want to be very objective about this, I believe that I can honestly deem the experiment an overwhelming success. You came here as young girls with so much to learn, and you are leaving as young women who have learned so well. Importantly, you have learned how to be students. And by a student, I do not mean just someone who studies for exams or writes papers. I mean someone who develops and sharpens an intellectual curiosity and a genuine thirst for knowledge. In fact, whether you realize it or not, you have just finished the first phase of the journey of a perpetual student. I say perpetual because the mosaic of your knowledge and your experiences is eternally unfinished, regardless of what your ultimate career choice or life's avocation is. Being a perpetual student does not mean being frozen at a certain stage in life, not at all. Rather, it is a state of mind that you can be invigorated with and which can serve as the catalyst to continually improve yourself, meet the challenges that await you, and fulfill your enormous potential. I have seen firsthand what this particular class is capable of, be it in academics, sports, the arts, or the tackling of social issues. And I am convinced that there is nothing beyond your reach. Please believe this, even though some of you may have doubts. Remember, you are the products of extraordinary opportunity that is comprised of your own inherent talents, and there's plenty of that, devoted parents and family, and the training and environment in which you have been placed here at this wonderful school, the National Cathedral School. Now, in this regard, I do not mean to impose a burden on you, certainly not on this happy day, and I certainly remember my instructions about burdens. However, this opportunity does come with certain responsibilities. Responsibility to strive for excellence, the responsibility for leadership, and the responsibility to society. More on that in just a minute. Now, what about the friends with whom you have shared so much over the past several years? Graduation and its aftermath is a bittersweet phenomenon. Many friends whom you have seen every day during the school year will disperse geographically, and in some cases, these relationships will change. This is as natural as the changing of the seasons. That may lead to sadness, which is entirely understandable. However, not even geographic separation can take away friendships that are built on love and the sharing of so many common experiences. In the sadness of departure, remember that you will be friends for life. For NCS friends, even when they are not there with you on a daily basis the way they used to be, form a very special bond of sisterhood that will remain an important part of your lives forever. What about social responsibility? I believe sincerely that regardless of our career paths, we cannot look the other way from pressing societal issues. There are still pockets of society here in our own country that are steeped in poverty, drug abuse, violence, health disparities, inadequate education, discrimination, and despair. And furthermore, in the year 2007, we live in a global society, and we cannot turn our backs on the terrible and oft-times preventable societal burdens in developing nations. The global catastrophe of AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis, infant mortality, starvation, not to mention the never again of genocide that seems to keep reappearing. I have had the privilege and the great pleasure to know many of you in this class, and I am sure that those whom I have not gotten to know are no different from the others. And I know how you care, some of you very deeply, about social injustice. If our nation and the world could adopt the basic philosophy and commitment to social issues that I have seen right here among you, this would be a gentler, kinder, and considerably less suffering planet. Please do not lose this caring as you leave NCS. Some of you may actually devote your future careers and lives to directly addressing these issues, but most of you will not. But at a minimum, pay attention to them and act on them when you can, either by doing something about them yourselves directly or by supporting those who do. What about leadership? The young women of NCS are the future leaders of our society, and indeed we need you, for you are the hope of our nation and the world. And I know that you may be sitting there thinking, why is this person talking to us about leadership? We're just graduating from high school, and next year we're going to be freshmen again. Do not believe for a moment that you are too young to begin to assume leadership roles. Leadership is a gradual process that you have already begun when you enrolled here at NCS, a school for women leaders. And I speak not necessarily of officially designated leadership, for leadership takes many forms, including the quiet leadership of example. There is a quote that is attributed to the famous Irish playwright George Bernard Shaw, whose career spanned the late 19th and early 20th century. I never liked the quote as a young man myself, and I like it even less now that I am no longer a young man. The quote is, "Ah, the pity that youth is wasted on the young," implying that young people have boundless energy, great vigor, and a bright future, but because they are so young, they do not appreciate what this means, nor do they take proper advantage of it. Well, ladies, prove Mr. Shaw to be wrong. Take advantage of that youth and start doing your thing right now for yourselves and for society. You do not need to wait. You are ready for the world, and the world certainly is ready for and needs you. Finally, what about the joy of life? I have been speaking with you over the past few minutes about opportunity, accomplishment, and responsibility, all of which have a somewhat serious air about them. I want to close with a reminder about the joyousness of life. Allow yourselves to cultivate this as much as you do your professional accomplishments. Christine and I have had the great fortune of living in a household with 3 NCS girls, and so we have seen it all. The pressure and tension of studying for exams, the late nights writing papers, the pre-dawn treks out in the bitter cold of winter to diving practice, the chilly early spring Saturdays on the Potomac with the crew team, the anxieties associated with college applications, and on and on. You all know exactly what I am talking about. However, the thing that sticks out most in my mind is the spontaneity and contagiousness of the laughter and the joy of NCS girls getting together for a sleepover, a pre-athletic event pasta party, a pre-prom dinner, or a casual shopping trip to Georgetown. It is a pure display of fun and happiness. I have asked you to pay attention to and remember several things over the past few minutes. Please do not let yourself forget that amazing feeling of joy and fun. Many of you will be in serious and important positions starting relatively soon. This is not incompatible with the fact that you have so many other things to live for and to be happy about. Reach for them and keep the sounds of your laughter alive. Good luck to you, God bless you, and thank you very much.
In keeping with the dignity of the Office of Graduation and in the spirit of equal respect for all graduates, we request that applause be held until all have received their diplomas. Will the class of 2007 please rise?